Hey guys, welcome back to Flash Like Crazy. Today I have a special review for you. I have a head-to-head. We have the Thrunite BSS V5 up against the Acebeam T36. Which one will come out on top? Let's find out. All right, so here are the packages of both the Acebeam and the Thrunite. Typical packages for both of them here. Let's go the Thrunite first. So in the Thrunite, you will get your lanyard. You will get a spare rubber flap for the charging port on the torch, which I'll show you in a second. You will get your USB-A to USB-C cable. You will get your red diffuser tint additive, and you will get your holster and underneath user manual. Okay, now I am going to just go through the accessories quite quickly, guys, and then I'm going to leave it there because if you want to see a more detailed review of both of these, you can go check them out on my channel. But today is going to mainly be about the head-to-head. So I just want to quickly show you in here, you get the same stuff. Basically, you get the lanyard, you get your charger, USB-A to USB-C, you'll get your 18650 sleeve, and you will get in here, which is a spare rubber clicky and 2 O-rings, plus the holster, plus user manual and all that, okay? So let's whack the boxes away. All right, so let's get a close-up. All right, so let's have a look at both these torches. The main difference between the two, firstly, is you've got an 18650 here, and you've got a 21700 here, okay? So let's have a look at the batteries, guys. Okay, so here is the difference in battery size. So you've got a 5100 milliamp up against a 3100 milliamp. You've got a 21700 here up against an 18650. Both lithium ion, both rechargeable, both high discharge. Okay, so what are some other similarities on these lights? Well, they both have a side switch here, and I'm going to just outright say that I like the side switch better on the Acebeam because it is much more responsive, and it just feels a little bit more well made. Whereas the Thrunite it does feel a little bit more tacky. It feels a little bit like they haven't put as much effort into it, as much money into it as they have with the Acebeam. The Acebeam just feels like it's not going to break as quick as the Thrunite. So that's one point I would give to the Acebeam. And as far as batteries and points for the batteries, I'm not going to give a point to either of them because it's a personal preference whether you like 18650 or 21700 better. My personal preference is the 18650. I like the size of the Thrunite a lot better than the size of the Acebeam. Also, guys, before I forget, you can check it out in the other review of the Acebeam, but it does come with a tactical ring, but I take it off because it annoys me and I don't like it. And I normally take the pocket clip off as well. So moving on, let's move to the bezels. So the Thrunite bezel is a very aggressive, very out there, long stainless steel bezel. It can be quite sharp. It would do a lot of damage. And I'm sure you guys have heard I'm not a massive fan of bezels. I think that they can be quite dangerous, and they can also be a little bit of a false sense of security. So the good news is that comes off. So that's how I use this torch, just like that. The bezel with the Acebeam is a lot less aggressive. It is still raised, but it's a lot less aggressive. But the reason I would give the Acebeam the point towards the bezel is because they actually incorporated, not only does it come off, but it flips around. And I like it like that. I think that's not aggressive. And when you actually turn the light on in the darkness, light pops out of these little holes, and it actually looks really cool. It looks cool when you're shining in the dark and you've got these little lights coming out of those little holes there. So that's another point to the Acebeam over the Thrunite. So far, if I'm not mistaken, we've got 2 points for the Acebeam, 1 for the side clicky and 1 for the bezel, and we've got 1 point for the Thrunite for its size 18650. Okay. Next, let's go pocket clips. I definitely have to give this point to the Thrunite. Sorry, reversible pocket clip, much deeper carry as well. So it comes all the way up to almost here, whereas the Acebeam, they've still got a lot of room beforehand. So that's really cool. And having a reversible as well, because it's not as heavy as the Acebeam, which we'll get to. You can put this on your hat as well, reverse it on your hat, and then you've got kind of like hands free, which is really cool. I like that. As I just mentioned, the weight, let's do a quick weight comparison, and I'm pretty sure we all know that the Thrunite is going to win here, seeing as it's the 18650, but let's just do it anyway. So actually, to be fair, I'll put the bezel on because I'm going to leave the bezel on. I'll leave the bezel on with the Acebeam. So the Thrunite is 147, just over 147 grams. That's with the battery and the bezel. The Acebeam is 187. So literally 40 grams heavier, the Acebeam over the Thrunite. So that's another point to the Thrunite. So if we're keeping tally here, we've got 1 point Acebeam for the Clicky, 1 point Acebeam for the bezel. Then we've got 1 point for the battery size for the Thrunite, 1 point for the pocket clip, and 1 point for the weight. So far the Thrunite is ahead. Now let's go to tail clickies. Both very similar. Operation of the tail clickies for both of them is turbo. That's it. That's their use. So that's very even as well. I'm probably going to go with the Acebeam here. There's one reason why I'm going to go with the Acebeam, because you have comfortable access to the tail clicky from 1, 2, 3 positions, okay? Whereas with the Thrunite, you only have comfortable access from 1, 2 positions. So you can't really hold it like that and try to access the clicky because these little barriers here stop that. And for me, that's a little bit annoying. So I'm going to give the Acebeam the point here. Now, as far as I said, their function, it's both exactly the same. It's just turbo. But whilst we're on that, turbo Thrunite, turbo Acebeam, beam profiles, you've got a warmer white here than you do here. I like the warmer white. That being said, it's a personal preference, so I won't be giving points for either of them because it's just a personal preference. But as far as heat, right now, I've got them both on turbo, and the Thrunite is heating up extremely quickly, whereas the Acebeam is not. So I am struggling to hold the Thrunite unless I'm holding it at the end of its body, whereas the Acebeam, I can hold it a bit closer and it's fine. Now, the Acebeam is starting to heat up a bit, but nothing like the Thrunite. So as far as heat, I'll probably go Acebeam's better. That probably has to do with the size of the head, the battery, all that sort of stuff. But there are the beam profiles there. A little bit more candela here on the Acebeam, whereas the Thrunite's a bit more of a flood. But the Thrunite definitely has a beautiful beam profile at nighttime, which I will show you shortly. Okay, so let's do the style. What do we like better? Well, for me, guys, it's definitely going to be the Thrunite. I do carry the Thrunite like this, and it is just a relaxed looking torch with a lot of different functions. And the Acebeam to me is just a little bit chunky, a little bit big, a little bit heavy, and it's more of kind of a leave on the bedroom dresser or drawers or something like that, and pick up and use. That's why I actually leave it without the pocket clip, because I do like to just pick it up, grab it, and do that. I don't like to have this in my pocket. It's just too big and bulky. So because of that, the Thrunite gets my point for that as well. And also, how about functions? So they both have almost identical functions, but what I am going to say the Thrunite wins over this is if we hold it down, you can barely see that, but that is 0.3 of a lumen, okay? So holding the side switch down brings 0.3 of a lumen on. That's your Firefly mode. That's brilliant. As a Firefly mode goes, that's brilliant. To have that is brilliant on a torch like this. Whereas the Acebeam, hold it down, the lowest mode for the Acebeam I think is 15 lumens. Not great for a Firefly. So this is not designed for a Firefly at all. So that's a point to the Thrunite, definitely. Now, if we go to charging ports, the Acebeam's charging port, see there, is nice and deep. It turns around, easy access to that. Very deep hole there, so you don't have to worry about water getting in when you've got this rubber flap pressed down nicely. Very firm as well, I might say. Moving on to the Thrunite, pull it up. It doesn't twist around at all. Nowhere near as deep, probably half as deep, I would say. And getting it back in can be a little bit tricky, but it does eventually go in. So I'm definitely going to give that point to the Acebeam because it is better. It's better quality. It's just thicker and it's deeper. It feels like it protects the charging port a whole lot better. So I definitely like that. So guys, that's about it for our head-to-head review. I am going to take these guys outside, let you see them, how they operate outside in the field. There's the size difference there. Actually, let's be fair and take the bezel off. There's the size difference there, like that. Also, I will just point out, the Acebeam looks a bit funny, doesn't it, without a bezel, which is a bit annoying. I mean, it's, you know, it still works, still a great light, but it just looks a bit funny without the bezel. So it does need a bezel, the Acebeam, and I like the bezel this way. I think it looks way better this way, which is cool. Both lights tail stand as well, not a problem at all. Acebeam's probably a bit more sturdy because it's got 3 points of contact on the ground instead of 2, but that's fine. And both have relatively smooth reflectors, although the Acebeam, its reflector is a little bit rippled. I don't know if you can see that there, but it is a little bit rippled to give a nice little, to give a beam profile of more of a mixed beam profile, like floody. But it's got great candela as well. So let's go out, do the review, do the night shots, and we'll be back shortly. All right. Okay, out here with the comparison of the Thrunite BSS V5 and the Acebeam T36. Acebeam T36, Thrunite BSS V5. Now I will just take off the bezel of the Thrunite so it's the same beef profile at the Acebeam. Give me 1 sec. Okay, BSS V5 is there. Acebeam. Acebeam's a lot warmer. BSS V5, a lot cooler. Acebeam. Thrunite. Acebeam. Thrunite. Acebeam. You make up your mind, guys. Thrunite. I think I like the Thrunite better. Acebeam. Thrunite. Acebeam. You tell me. Okay, what do we think? Wow, I was not expecting this, but the Thrunite is, I like the beam profile better on the Thrunite. I like the color profile of the Acebeam better, but I like the actual beam profile and how much light you get better on the Thrunite. I just think you can see better at nighttime. I think it's a better functional torch for the nighttime. So there we have our head-to-head review, guys, and I didn't keep tally, but if I'm going to just summarize, I will say that the Acebeam won on the bezel, the Acebeam won on the tail switch. The Acebeam won on the tail standing 3-point contact instead of 2. And the Acebeam also won on the side switch. The Thrunite won on the beam profile of outside usage. And the Acebeam won on the rubber charging port. The Thrunite won on the beam profile of outside usage. Thrunite won on looks. Thrunite won on weight. Thrunite won on pocket clip. It also won on the battery size, and it won on having Firefly. So I believe it's very close, but if I'm not mistaken, I'll definitely say that the Thrunite came out on top by 1 or 2 points. But again, guys, personal preference. It just depends on what you like better. If I had to choose, I would choose the Thrunite, and that's my choice, personal preference. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe these videos, because it does help me keep doing them. And you can pick both these lights up, as I did, from lightshop.com.au. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, stay cool, stay classy, and I will catch you then. Ciao.